Good morning. My name is Pat Smith. I've been a member of this church since 2005. My husband and I joined as soon as we moved up here. My husband has since passed away, and I am here. I'm here to talk about miracles. I do believe I was raised with God's hand on my shoulder. I know I was. I'm a cancer survivor. I survived melanoma. And in 1983, I had a cardiac arrest with a 20-second flatline. But God was just trying to get my attention because obviously I'm still here. I was born in North Carolina into a Christian family, and we went to church every time the doors opened, my father said. My grade school was across the street from the church, and I loved it. After high school and nurses training, I married in 1960, and we moved into a small house in a rural area outside of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. In 1961 is when I really started believing in miracles. I've always known and I've always lived with miracles, but this time I was really brought to the attention of the miracle. My first son was about 4 months old, and I awakened to find him with a fever and a cough, and I was scared because we really lived out. My brother lived with us at that time, but he and my husband had already gone to work, and I called the doctor, and he says, "You've got to get the baby in here." So my brother was a mechanic, a top-notch mechanic too, and was working on this old Plymouth sitting out in the front yard. And I said, I'll get there. I'll get there. And so I got my son ready, and I drove him about 10 miles. It was about a 20-minute trip to the doctor's office, where he indeed was getting ready to develop pneumonia. And he was treated, and the doctor sent me home with the baby and said, "Just do what I've said and take care of him. Keep him quiet, let him rest." And when my brother came home, I cautioned him and I said, "Be quiet if you can, because Michael is really sick. I had to take him to the doctor today." And my brother said, "How'd you go?" I said, "I took the old Plymouth." He said, "Pat, you couldn't take the Plymouth." I said, "But I took the old Plymouth." He says, "I'm working on it." I said, "Yeah, I know." He says, "You don't understand. You couldn't have driven it. It didn't have a battery in it." I said, "I tell you something, Bruce. I took the old Plymouth." And he says, "Well, there's the battery sitting on the porch. I don't know how you did it." I said, "I think it was a miracle, my friend. I really think it was a miracle." And you know something? That miracle made a believer out of my brother. Because we all have miracles in our life. Every day, we have a miracle. We just don't recognize them. And when you reflect on them later on, you'll see just what I mean. And I will fast forward to 2016. Now my sons are all grown, and I was speaking with one of them who lives in Galix, Virginia. He has horses and an alpaca herd. His wife was very ill and was in the hospital about 50 miles. And he was getting up every morning and taking care of all the animals that they have, because they have 40 acres up there. And they take care of horses and dogs and cats. And he was very upset. And I talked with him later on the next day, and it's just more than he could stand. He didn't know what was going to happen because his wife was so ill. And I cried and I cried, and I said, Lord, please be with my son and make your presence known to me, because I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering, Lord. That was about 6:30 as I prayed. And at 6:45, my son Joseph called and said he had just gotten off the phone with Lily, and the doctor said that she could come home that day. And he says, and I got in touch with my work crew, so some of this burden is off of my back. And so you see, every day and every little way, we have miracles. Like that day when God held my son in the palm of his hand. That was truly a miracle. And you walk with your head up high and you smile and you look up and you say, thank you, Lord, for this day. I will be forever grateful. That's all I need to say.